Hello everyone, this is Steve with Aptera Owners Club. This video is not really about Aptera, it's kind of about EVs, but I saw this article and it reminded me of this story I've been kind of peripherally following for the past couple of years and kind of nagged at me. But just today, the Washington Post released this article saying that 16 states want to electrify the U.S. Postal Service fleet file lawsuits. Okay, so here's the story behind this. The 16 states are the usual suspects, um, and then a bunch of environmental protection agencies like Center for Biological Diversity, Earth Justice, Sierra Club, and then Natural Resource Defense Council and the United Auto Workers. United Auto Workers just got in on this, I think, mainly because Oshkosh decided to build these vehicles in a non-union state, which is South Carolina. That's their only beef in it. But anyway, they decided to join in. Lots of people are suing to try to block this purchase. And here's the story behind it. Those of us who live in the United States are very familiar with this. This is the Grumman long life vehicle. The last one of these was built in the late 1990s. So they're getting on to be about 30 years old. So a lot of the fleet is like pushing 30 years old and reaching the end of its lifespan. These things don't have anti-lock brakes, air conditioning, they don't have airbags, they don't have uh, backup cameras. They're really old. They're not great. They do need to be replaced. We understand that. And the thing that they want to replace it with is this. This is the Oshkosh Next Generation Delivery Vehicle. Now, this is pretty much the ugliest vehicle I've ever seen, but that's not my beef with it. It has to look like this because of the specification that the U.S. Postal Service wanted. They wanted really good visibility out the front. They wanted, the regular safety features like front collision warning, backup cameras, um, good entry height. They wanted people to be able to stand in the back and not have to duck. So these are all ergonomic things that made sense. So to meet those requirements, they kind of had to make a vehicle that looks this ugly. Now, this is probably the most unaerodynamic vehicle that you can have. It's like kind of the opposite of the Aptera. Um, but what happened is in February 2021, the U.S. Postal Service decided that they were going to award their contract to Oshkosh Defense and delivering up to 200,000 vehicles. This represents almost a third of the federal light vehicle fleet. So it's a big thing. And the interesting thing about these vehicles is that they drive about an average of 20 miles a day. And, of course, they're making frequent stops to deliver mail. And so if you look at this, it's 20 miles a day is an average of 3 miles per hour. It's not very fast. They're usually going like, 15 miles per hour between the little stops. And most of the time is spent idling. And if you look at these things, the old vehicle, this one, gets 8.4 miles per gallon. That is horrendous fuel economy. This one gets, they said, 14 miles per gallon. So that's better. Still horrible. But the thing is if you turn on the air conditioning, because this thing has air conditioning and the old van does not have air conditioning. Of course, if you have air conditioning, you're going to use it. If I was a U.S. postal delivery person, I would 100% use it. If you use it, this gets 8.6 miles per gallon. So it's 0.2 miles per gallon better than the 30-year-old model, which does not seem like a very good improvement. And if you look at the use case scenarios where they drive about 20 miles a day, stop and go, where it's mostly idling, and then they get parked at night in the same parking lot, that is pretty much, if you could design a use case scenario for an EV, this is it. The US Postal Service is it. It's not very many miles, so you don't need a big battery to go far. Most of the time it's stopped or it's low mileage, so the battery's not gonna have to, it doesn't run while the EVs don't run while they don't have to idle, and they don't use that much power when they're going low speed. It's the perfect scenario for electrification. That's why every other private company, FedEx, UPS, Walmart, Amazon, they've all decided to go all electric on in their fleet as they replace their fleet, which it just makes business sense. But the U.S. Postal Service decided not to do that, and they went with this thing, which it can be made electric. And so the good news is they did up their initial order from 10% EV to 20% EV. Now, it ideally should be like 99% EV, I think. And that is why these states and these organizations are suing them, because they say that their vetting process and the way they picked their supplier and the way they decided on this was not well done. They didn't do their due diligence. And this is a highly inefficient vehicle that's going to be on the roads for probably the next 30 years delivering US mail. So hopefully, I'm hoping that the states win and that the U.S. Postal Service will electrify their fleet, because it just makes sense for this use case scenario. Now, EVs are not good for a lot of use case scenarios, but this is the perfect scenario for it. So I'm hoping that as we move from this car to this car, we're going to have an electric fleet. We'll watch this and see how it goes. Well, sorry, this is not Aptera content, but this is something that I've been kind of peripherally following. I thought some of you guys might be interested in what's going on with the largest replacement of the federal fleet. And since we are Aptera people, hopefully most of us are pro EV people, and this seemed like the perfect use case scenario. Okay, so I would like to thank our sponsors. So these are the people that are generously sponsoring our channel by funding it. At the 100 kilowatt level, it's Enoch Smith and Brian Bowes. And at the 40 kilowatt level, we have Curtis or Oopsie, Jeremy, Tom, Dean, Go Climb a Rock, Adimchi, John again, Don, Jaron, Paul, Harry, Paulry. So thank you so much for all your support, and thanks everyone for watching and commenting. And I hope you guys all have a great day.